Hi all, Christine Byer here in my treatment room. If you want to get your skin in the best shape ever, stay tuned. I'm going to walk you through a treatment start to finish. Welcome back. I did this video 2 years ago where we talked about how to get your skin in shape. And I thought, well, this year I better just show you rather than tell you, because it's kind of confusing. With all the devices out there, it just makes your brain go poof. So I like to start out clean palette. Many times I'll do a light exfoliation. There's something that I use, which is, it's Scopla friendly. So if you're using the Scopla facial filling products from Korea, it helps keep that polylactic acid or dissolvable sutures inside the follicle. If you don't know about Scopla products, please go back and look at some of my videos on that. I'll post one up here. But yeah, they're facial filling products from Korea. So yeah, I like to do something like a fruit acid peel, and nothing too deep, because you're going to be doing a lot of activity on top of what you just did. So I tend to get, I've got dilated capillaries, and I'll tend to get very flushed if I overdo it. I wouldn't say I have sensitive skin, but I definitely do get flushed if I overdo it. So at this point, what I like to do is just pile on the serums. And serums can be, well, you want them to be very gentle, and you want to make sure you get all the acids off your face, get it completely clean. And then we're going to pile on some just gentle serums, and then we're going to put on our conductive gel. So let's start there. We're going to do the light serum first, because it is the lightest of the bunch. And this is an acid-free skin brightener. And excuse my big, I went at it yesterday with the lancet trying to get Amelia out, and it turns out it was not Amelia. I think it's a fibroma. But since I didn't have my mag lamp, I couldn't see, so it's very hard to see. Anyway, next I'm going to put on my Triple C. This is 3 different forms of vitamin C mixed with gold, which is interesting, but the gold is nice because it helps us to conduct. You want to do this quickly. Don't forget the neck, the chest. Okay, and then next we can do something like, this is sort of an essence. It's I would say it's not quite as strong as a serum. It's an essence. They call it an ampule. They're called different things: toners, essence, ampule. Although in my book, ampules used to be special treatments for the treatment room that were really strong, but I don't know. This is what Dr. Esty is calling it. And I'm kind of loading it up. And this is just to start the hydration process. This one I like because I can put it right where the eyes, doesn't hurt my eyes. All right, so we start to pat that in. This one looks like this. I have the big Mondo one. It's called Hyal. This is a bunch of different weights, molecular weights of hyaluronic acid. So it's uber hydrating. And then I'll just put on my conductive gel. And the one I like, well, I actually had made because I got so many questions about conductive gel, is called Hydrolift. So I'll be putting on some Hydrolift. And this is what I'll be using, the Hydrolift. And when it comes out, it's the slightest bit blue because it has azoline in it, which is great for calming. I normally use a fan brush for this, but I don't know, I got ahead of myself. I like to do my earlobes too. I'm a little bit of a fanatic. My clients say I always get back here when no other esthetician does, and I'm like, but we can see these wrinkles, we see this floppiness. You turn to the side and we can see it. So I tend to go, if anybody else can see it, I'm going to treat it. Okay, so in this video, I'm not really going to talk about release work and all that, but this is where you would do that. You would release overly worked muscles, and I have so many videos on that, and you would start with your neck and work all around, but that's for another video, or this video would be like an hour and a half long. So yes, just know that that's where you would insert in your Get Your Skin in Shape plan 2021. You would insert your massage techniques right here to release excess tension, how all of our facial expressions sort of etch into our face over the decades. So we would release that before we started working. All right, so at this point, I've layered on my serums, I've layered on my essences, then I put on my conductive gel. Now, you don't need all of this. You can just simply have a conductive gel, but you want to make sure it's a nourishing conductive gel, because whatever you put, whatever is in it will be pushed deeply into the skin. So might as well be clean, might as well be nourishing. And I started to talk about the difference between an essence and a serum. Serums tend to be more concentrated. They can be hydrating, they can be anti-aging, they can be, a lot of times people will say, you know, it's a fruit acid blend and call it a serum, but that's, we don't want to use fruit acids at this point. We want to use only non-acid, non-retinol based serums that we would like to penetrate during our treatment. So the difference between a serum and an essence slash toner slash ampule is usually that the serum is more concentrated, and the more serums you put on, the more risk of sensitivity. So we kind of want to take it easy here, because we're really going to push this into the skin with this process. So I just put on two. I put on a brightening serum and a vitamin C serum. And then I did an essence and a conductive gel. So you don't have to go through all the steps. You can just keep it simple, but let's get started. You always want at least one machine that challenges the skin. And what I mean by that is it creates a controlled injury. When you make a controlled injury to the skin, it activates fibroblast activity, and fibroblasts are what makes the collagen and elastin, and that's the golden activity that we want to invoke when we do these treatments, right? We want to make the fibroblasts wake up, get the signal. Sometimes they get old and tired and they're not getting the signal to rejuvenate, and so we want to wake them up. So devices that cause very controlled injury to spur wound healing response, thus fibroblast activity, would be radiofrequency, microneedling, a peel. Gosh, even this device, some ultrasound, like this is ultrasound that penetrates very deeply, and it creates a little bit of heat. Now, a lot of people ask me, will this burn off fat in the face? Absolutely not. This is only 5 watts. So you're really looking at the higher, like the HIFU and those kind of things that have had those type of fat burning accidents. That does not happen with a 5-watt handheld device. So going back to my original point is we want something that challenges the skin. So let's go ahead and start with our device that challenges. So this device could be, I mean, you could be, you know, the thing is, microneedling, let's set that aside for right now. Derma rolling, it's also called derma rolling. Microchanneling, collagen induction therapy, God, it's called so many different things. So here's the deal. That we're gonna set aside. It's really actually something you wanna do at the end, because if you try to do a device afterwards, it's gonna sting, because microneedling opens up little tiny holes into the skin, and they close pretty rapidly, but you're still going to feel it if you use a device after microneedling. So that's really not something you want to do. So yeah, say you're doing radiofrequency. So radiofrequency is going to heat the tissue more deeply than this. And the deal with radiofrequency is if you get the skin to 104 degrees, it can actually shrink tissue. And the deal is, I think most handhelds, or most of them on the market, are pretty safe, and they don't get hot enough for you to burn the fat out of your face. So yeah, this would be your first device. And so we want to get the skin's attention. We want to say, hey, wake up. Fibroblasts, get going. wake up, right? So this device, it's going to heat. It's doing a couple of different things. It's got radio frequency, I'm sorry, ultrasound, but way, way, way down on the ultrasound scale. So it's deeply penetrating. More so than the megahertz, the ones in the millions of hertz. It's kind of counterintuitive, but the more hertz per second, the more shallow the penetration. So this is 90,000 waves per second. This is the way I like to do if you have thyroid issues. You want to just go straight up and along the jaw. You want to avoid the thyroid. Now I have hypothyroid, and this device doesn't seem to bother me. Anyway, what was I saying? All right, so this is your first. This could be radio frequency. This could be this ultrasound. You could have done a peel, but it would have to be very light. Gosh, I'm sure I'm going to come in and say, okay, I know many other devices that create a tiny wound. Let's see, micro phototherapy, laser. So there's the Nero laser I hear about constantly. It's just basically doing the same thing with light energy. What else? Radio frequency, Nero, micro phototherapy. There's usually devices that help get rid of hair, like hair lasers that they sell. They're usually just like a form of xenon lamp. It's just a xenon bulb and it flashes. But they usually have a way that you can select or switch them over to skin rejuvenation mode. So I have a little device behind me there. It's called the Skylight, and that guy works great. You can find it on Amazon. I don't know how much it costs. It was $400 when I bought it. The problem with that device is trying to find those little lights, the replacement cartridges. So just make sure you have a supply, because they do sort of run out. They start to burn out, you know, they just get really light and not very hot after a while. So they do have to be replaced. So yeah, that's another form of controlled injury. So usually it's laser, light, heat. Something is creating a controlled injury where the skin will go in and say, uh-oh, you gotta get going here and start moving. Now, can you tell I'm constantly working on my neck? All right, that's 5 minutes with this device. It shuts itself off after 5 minutes. But I don't know if you noticed, I was doing what I call vectors. Well, it's called in the field vectors. And so I did a few videos on this. It was a series called Lift It Like a Pro. And when you go to the dermatologist's office and have radio frequency or HIFU or something, HIFU is intense focused ultrasound. It's another form of heat created by sound waves that kicks in fibroblast activity. So if you go to the dermatologist and have this done, a series, they're going to be working these vectors. And vectors are areas of the face. They cut across areas of the face that there's common facial sag. So usually as we get older, our face will start to deflate. We lose fat padding, and even bone starts to wear away with the years. The orbital bone, everything starts to sort of degrade with age. And so the excess skin we have will pool up right here in the form of jowls. Everybody loves our jowls, right? So vectors are like, here's a vector, and here is a vector. So we're going straight across that sausage roll that forms. So, and then here's a vector. So we're going straight up the nasolabial fold. And these just kind of, they're ways to counteract facial sagging. And when you do a heat-based treatment, you want to use these vectors so that you're shrinking the skin in the direction that it needs to be shrank, right? Now, granted, home use devices, like I said, I don't see them shrinking the skin like going to, having an in-office treatment. I don't see them, the home use devices, they can't be like, legally, they couldn't be that hot, or they would be in so much trouble, right? Now, you go on eBay and you can buy anything. So just be careful. That's all I gotta say. Just be careful, because we don't want to burn fat out of our face. Now, I have not seen that. I actually have blistered my own face before. So just be careful. It doesn't happen very often, but if we are a little bit too aggressive, it can definitely happen. All right, so that's all I'm going to do with this device. I really like that. This is the Time Master Pro. It has LED and ultrasound. And the reason I like it is because it's got the heat and the ultrasound, which kicks in the fibroblast activity. So there's that controlled injury, although it has zero downtime. You can see my face looks fine. There's no downtime. And it also has LED, and LED works in a completely different way. It doesn't create any sort of injury. And if you had LED, you could do it now. I have a big professional light that I'm going to lay under for 5 minutes, and then we'll go on to our next step. This is a 5-minute treatment time. It is so strong. I'm going to use this, and then I'll see you all in 5 minutes. Okay, so I'm back. I've done my LED, done my Time Master Pro, and now I'm going to finish off with microcurrent. Microcurrent, just like LED, adds energy to the skin, and it's going to increase ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate, which is basically the powerhouse of the cell. It's basically the energy the cell, the mitochondria of the cell make. So when it raises, we get more productivity from those cells. So we get fresher looking skin, fine lines and wrinkles are reduced, starts working on all sorts of skin problems, right? So yeah, when we get that increase in cellular activity, that's really nice. So both LED and microcurrent work in this way where they don't traumatize the skin. They just add energy to it. So LED works almost like photosynthesis with plants. You know how plants grow when you add light to them. And gosh, everybody and their brother on YouTube has a light that they're endorsing now. So what you need to do, what I like the best is if it's flat against the skin. I feel like you get all the energy goes flat into the skin. I have one I sell that's like that, and it's actually quite large. So I would really, I like this mask and stuff, but usually they have so few diodes in them. You just have to check the specs and make sure you're getting a lot of energy, because a lot of energy means a shorter treatment time. And so LED you'd want to do about twice a week for half an hour, depending on how strong your device is, and just check with the manufacturer. Microcurrent you want to do about 3-4 times a week, depending on how much you want to lift and what your goals are. And then the Time Master Pro, or anything that causes a controlled injury, really, I would say RF once a week. I honestly don't understand why some devices say use daily. That makes no sense to me. It's almost like mowing the grass over and over, even though it doesn't need it. Because, you get this new collagen forming, and then you go in there and you just trample it down with another heat-based treatment. It just doesn't make sense to me. So the skin needs some time to regenerate in between. And I always tell gals in my club, the Christine Byer Beauty Club, I tell them, look, the magic happens between the treatments, because a lot of them will get the Time Master Pro and they'll see such good results they want to use it like every day. And while some may be able to handle that, some skins may be able to just take it like a champ, the magic happens between the treatments. The fibroblasts start going and everything happens between the treatments. So that's why I say the skin needs rest time as much as it needs devices. So it would be like a pro athlete working out solid every day and never giving their muscles any rest. It's a recipe for disaster. So I would say the magic happens between treatments. Okay, so if and when you need to re-wet the skin, you can use a little spray bottle. You can do one area at a time. But I tend to like just the fan brush. So some important things to consider in conductive gels are that they're conductive. And before you say anything, I know I'm going too fast. So you're really supposed to go with the beep on this. So here we go. I'm waiting. That's one stroke. But so this is a vector. 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 Although with microcurrent, I tend to like to do this. But I've had Botox, so this is really not going to lift my forehead. Not very much. Although my doctor, she doesn't Botox the bejesus out of my forehead. You can still see some wrinkles through here. A lot of people are like, they insist I've had fillers and all this work, and really, I just get Botox. I had filler back in 2016 before I did the skin games. My God, I did all sorts of crap before I did the skin games. I had, what did I do? I got my lips done. I haven't done it since. It was pretty, but it's not my shtick. I had, was it for the skin games? Yeah, I had Sculptra, which is just like that polylactic acid, the dissolvable sutures. I had that done in my entire face, and it was painful. But I liked the results from here up. I feel like it looked really weird down here. It looked kind of chipmunky and strange. So I think that's why I like the Korean Sculptra products, because it's about, I think that's why they named it Sculptra, because that's Sculptra. So instead of being injected in, it's and put on the outside of the skin, and it has a much more natural result through here. So I'm doing basically all vectors or Clareblend mini moves. But you always want to end with microcurrent, because you want to leave the muscles up, taut, and toned. You don't want to go in and do massage after this and get everything relaxed again. You want to leave those muscles retrained and up there. Yeah, so frequency. I try to think of the same questions I get over and over. So the frequency would be, yeah, microcurrent 3 to 4 times a week. LED at least twice a week. I don't like to overdo it with LED because you can get the skin uglies. I don't see it that much anymore because people are getting on the skin hydration bandwagon. Back when LED units first came out, I saw it a lot because people would just go crazy with LED, because back then, gosh, we didn't have anything. You really didn't. There wasn't much in the early 2000s as far as like really effective skin devices, except for LED back then. Home devices. There wasn't much. Oh yeah, so I was talking about the stuff I've done to my face. So I mean, I had Sculptra back, it's going on, that's 4 years ago. So that's not there. But there was a subscriber who had insisted I had Rejuviderm, I don't know, Juvederm, I'm sorry, in my cheeks. And I'm like, my cheeks look the same as they ever have. And if you look at my mom's cheeks, you'll see that she has plenty of cheeks. So I was just irritated. And sometimes, I would say 99.99% of comments are nice. Sometimes you get something that just gets under your skin, and you're like, okay, I'm not gonna let this get to me. But it gets to you. People can be Very judgmental, but I guess I've got my face on YouTube, so I can't complain, right? I can't. But be kind. I haven't had filler. The only filler I use is in my facial filling products and Sculpla, my Sculpla products. So, wow, that looks pretty good. I needed a treatment. So if you were doing something this intense, three different devices in a row, I would say I wouldn't do this more than twice a week. It's a lot. It's a lot. You could use microcurrent 2 other times and do this twice a week. And you know, it could be like all you need. This kind of treatment I do weekly to clients when I'm doing a series. And now these devices are so common, people do this at home. But I used to do microcurrent LED and some sort of peel or something to really activate those fibroblasts to clients on a weekly basis, and it would be a whole series. And I still do that for people who just won't do this at home, but you can do this at home. So it's actually quite nice. So yeah, getting your skin in shape in 2021 has never been easier. We have all these devices at our fingertips. And you know, there is one thing, like if I don't have enough time for all of this, I will just use this because it is so deeply penetrating. It also has an electric muscle stimulation byproduct, which tenses the muscles, and you still can build muscle tissue with this. So it blows my mind how fast this is. And this is 10 minutes twice a week, which is fabulous. So with this, you're heating the skin a little bit, so you're getting that fibroblast activity. You are helping kick in the wound healing response with the LED. And it also has a toning and lifting effect because of the EMS. Now, not all ultrasound units will do that because a lot of them are too superficially penetrating. They don't penetrate deep enough to trigger the nerve of the muscle. And this does, because you'll see it. The muscle will jerk ever so slightly. So that's what's really giving the toning response to this. So if you can do nothing else, it would be this little device, and it's one and done. So twice a week, 10 minutes, and that's why I love this so much. But you also notice that it doesn't give every result. So my LEDs did something slightly different. My microcurrent gets everything up there, gets in the nooks and crannies, gets where this can't. And yeah, it's a more complete result. So I hope that helps you get a better idea of why we use different machines in different orders and how much. If you have any questions, please post them below and tell me your favorite device. Tell me what you've been using on your skin that you love. I'd love to see it. Comment below. Please like this video, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye now.